with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew.
Glory to you, O Lord.
As they were coming down from the mountain, the disciples asked Jesus, "Why do the scribes say that Elijah must come first?" He said in reply, "Elijah will indeed come and restore all things. But I tell you that Elijah has already come, and they did not recognize him, but did to him whatever they pleased. So also will the Son of Man suffer at their hands." Then the disciples understood that he was speaking to them of John the Baptizer. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus.
Bulahang weekend ka natong tanan. The context of today's Gospel reading is actually after the Transfiguration. But the question still remained in the minds and hearts of the disciples, just as in the minds and hearts of the Jewish people about Elijah coming before the Messiah. And that's the reason why it is so interesting to note that our first reading today from the book of the prophet Sirach or Ecclesiasticus is actually the so-called summary of the mission and ministry of Elijah the prophet. Now, Elijah is always considered to be the precursor of the Messiah. And so the disciples in today's gospel reading understood that when Jesus was talking about him, he was referring to John the Baptizer. But what is a very interesting note to take into account from the first reading is what happened during the time of Elijah's prophecy or ministry. When he started his ministry, and I would like to refer you to the first book of Kings, chapter 17, 18, and 19. So if you have Bibles in your homes, in your houses, you can take a look into this. There was a great drought and famine that God had actually caused, in order to test the people. And it was through the aged prophet Elijah that this drought, that the famine came. And that's why we have in the first reading today, it says, he broke actually the what we call the staff of life, which is actually the bread, because there was famine. Now, in retrospect, or in going towards our New Testament reflection, what Elijah did, breaking the bread, or actually shattering the bread, in other words, not being able to give supply for food, is a remote future reference to the bread himself who will come and who will live among us. And this is what John the Baptizer was actually the precursor of. The bread who has already come. The bread who has been born in the house of bread, which literally means Bethlehem. And that's very Christmas. There is an interesting note about the bread and Christmas, because the bread of life came down from heaven, was born like us, but he was born in the house of bread, or Bethlehem, because he is the bread of life. And so this is the particular relationship with what Elijah prophesied, with what John the Baptizer prepared, so that all of us will be able to take into our lives the bread of life, the bread that came down from heaven, our Lord Jesus Christ, who is food for the soul and for our spirits. And so as we continue with this Eucharistic celebration, still within the season of Advent, hopefully all our preparations will help us feel the need of such a food, not the physical one, but the spiritual food that only the Lord can give. And here in the Eucharist, we are experiencing such an experience, such a grace-filled moment. And hopefully, we will forever not just taste or savor, but make sense of also the sacrament that we receive through the body and blood of our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.